Okay, it's Monday. I'm in the Woodlands, so it's time for another episode of Monday in the Woodlands. Cue the music. There's not any music. There's not. Okay. There's not any music. This video. I apologize. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, a couple things I want to do today. One, last week I mentioned that my brain is broken, and so some of you are like, "Well, yeah, that's for a long time we've seen that." So let me explain what I mean by that, just so you kind of know. Up until just a few years ago, it was thought that after like adolescence, early adulthood, your brain was just kind of stuck where it is. The stuff you dealt with and your genetics and your nurturing and nature stuff, it all just kind of stuck early 20s. And just a few years ago, they began to find out that that's not the case at all. In fact, there's this whole new science, this whole new field of study called, this is a big word, write this one down, neuroplasticity. And that simply means this. It simply means that your brain can actually be rewired. So here's what happens. Here's where mine's broken. You deal with stuff. You have some stuff happen, some chaos, some relational problems, traumatic events, and your brain, it starts forming different connections based around those events. And then every time something bad happens, that connection that was made gets reinforced, right? Because what your brain likes to do is the chemicals and the electricity, everything likes to go to the path of least resistance. And so if it feels like it's seen something and been there before, boom, that's where to go. And every time you have another event or more trauma, a betrayal, whatever it may be, your brain literally reinforces that connection and makes it pretty solid. And so what they've learned, though, over the last several years is you can actually rewire that. You can untangle that chaos that's in your brain that tells you the same thing every time. That's this, well, I told you so. I knew this is where we're going to end up. This is what happened last time. This is what people did to you last time. So this is what's going to happen this time. I told you it was going to end up like that. And so I've been kind of living like that now for almost 10 years, if not longer. And so my brain has kind of hardwired itself to deal with trauma and negative stuff in a certain way, and that way is depression. I can get really low very quickly when I'm triggered. Anxiety. I assume that what's coming up is going to be bad. It's going to end poorly. And so that's kind of where I've landed. And then when Ashley and I went to Austin back in January, it was the first time I'd ever heard anybody explain that to me and actually say, hey, the good news is all of that can be fixed, can be rewired. Like, your brain doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to respond this way for the rest of your life. You're not stuck here. And like I said last time, that was life-giving, and this is the first time I've had hope in a while. And so I've started the process of rewiring my brain, and I'll describe on here in another video some of this real specific therapy that I'm doing here at Dr. Steve's office. It's crazy. It's so interesting and nutty, and you won't believe it, but I'll tell you all about it later. And then some of the things I'm learning to do on my own. And then last week, I want to share this with you before I go. I got about 10 minutes to get up there to Dr. Steve. He gets all grouchy when I'm late or when I don't wear shoes. So last week I was telling him, I was like, look, man, I said, I do pretty good at night. Like late at night, I'm cool and calm, and I sit outside and watch some Netflix or read some stuff or say dumb stuff on Twitter or whatever, and I'm pretty calm when I go to bed. It's just when I wake up in the morning, man, things get nuts. I just wake up like in fear and tense, and like I just want to get back under the covers. And so here's what he's had me doing this last week. He goes, okay, here's what you're going to do. He said, you're going to just start making a list of things that you're grateful for. And I was like, really? I'm paying you this kind of money for you to tell me to make a happy list? And he goes, not like the big stuff. Not like, he goes, you can't walk around and go, oh, I'm happy for life. And I'm happy, you know, that my arms work. I don't know. He probably didn't say that one. He said, I want you to think of like the nano things that you're happy about. And I was like, okay, it's too many big words. And he said, think about the little bitty small things that you normally take for granted. I want you to recognize them, be grateful for them in the moment, jot them down, and then revisit it at night. And I was like, okay. He's like, here's what I mean. He's like, for me, he said, I go to the same Starbucks every morning. I'm so thankful for that Starbucks because they know my order, and I know the people behind the counter, and I sit in a real peaceful spot. And he said, and I'm aware of the sun coming in on me. And I'm like, look, hippie, I don't even know where you're going with this, Dr. Steve. And he said, stay with me. He said, if you begin to become more aware of the little things in your life, the moment you wake up, the moment your eyes open, that your brain will begin to wire itself to look for those things. He said, it's going to be a struggle at the start because my brain is so fixed on being negative and seeing the negative. He said, but if we will continue to do this over and over and over, and day after day, you're going to be surprised how your brain, instead of looking for the negative, will begin to find the positive. So that's what I wanted to leave you with today. If this is something you're struggling with, and according to the countless almost responses from last week's video, this is definitely something a lot of you guys struggle with. That's our homework this week. Is begin to be aware of the small things. Jot them down somewhere. Maybe it's a note on your phone. Maybe you're writing a little notebook. I don't know. Then at night, visit those things. He said it's important because now that's twice during the day that you've stopped normal life just to be grateful and thankful for the little things around you. I just want to say thanks for watching. Crazy response last week. That was bananas. Almost 3,000 of you watched this video. That's just ridiculous. I don't know 3,000 people. So I hope you watch this one. If you're not watching this one, this conversation is really awkward. I'm not even talking to anybody. But if you are watching and you know somebody that may need it, just share this thing on your Facebook thing, the wall there. Just share it. Send it to some people. If you got comments or questions, put them down there. I promise I'm going to try to get to all these comments. I'm going to try to, but I was so busy looking for things that I'm grateful for that I just didn't get around to it this week. But maybe I will this week. Look, Dr. Steve is waiting on me. He's got his black member's jacket on. He always has that on. He's got these fancy little black shoes that it matches his little jacket. He thinks he's super cool. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'm going to go see Dr. Steve. This segment's brought to you by Red Bull Sugar Free.